Hello everyone, I'm Pamela Howland and I'm so happy to be here with you this evening to celebrate Beethoven's 250th birthday. Thank you WDAV for making this happen. Frank Dominguez and his great team have been doing a wonderful job celebrating Beethoven's big day, and there's a shout out to Carolina Asthma and Allergy. And WDAV is just a wonderful, wonderful station, 89.9 FM. And they have been fundraising all day. I'll tell you about that in just a second. But I am just so happy to be here. It's my great pleasure tonight to share with you some excerpts from my brand new CD called Christmas with Beethoven. And I, of course, have that right here. Now, Christmas with Beethoven is actually for WDAV, for their fundraising. It's a donor gift. So if you are able to give them something, there are some of these available. And of course, they're always available on my PamelaHowland.com website. So tonight, I will share these new arrangements with you. My arrangements are a combination of beloved Christmas carols along with favorite and famous Beethoven pieces. And not only to celebrate Beethoven's 250th birthday, but to try to bring some joy and some light to this year that has been so dark. So I'm hoping that this is joyful for you tonight. One of the reasons that I think this kind of a weird combination of mine works is because most of our Christmas carols are English and German. They're both sturdy and robust and can be sweet and tender, just like Beethoven and just like what we find in Beethoven's music. So, you know, we are so used to hearing the standard Christmas carols and the standard Beethoven fare that I think sometimes it's almost as though we don't really hear them anymore. So tonight I'm hoping that my reimaginings will help shine them up and you possibly will hear them in a new way. When I sit down to play them at the piano, I'm imagining that Beethoven himself is sort of playing these. So I hope you enjoy the music. Happy birthday, Beethoven, and happy holidays to you all. The first Christmas carol that I'll play, the first arrangement, is O Christmas Tree or O Tannenbaum. Now, O Christmas Tree it's a simple 15th century German tune, and it is so old that it's entirely possible that Beethoven, growing up in the 1770s, might have heard it. We don't know, but it goes like this. Now, the lyrics are, O Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. Thy boughs so green in summertime, stay bravely green in wintertime. O Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. And for my arrangement, I have paired it with Beethoven's famous Minuet in G. The tune is this. Now, you will notice about this that the grace notes are really important. I should say that a minuet, of course, is a stately, graceful dance in three, very popular in Beethoven's time. But if we remove these grace notes, it's kind of like a little ornament, then we have a very simple tune. So, those grace notes, in combination with the left hand, which on the piano is staccato, will combine for my O Christmas Tree Beethoven Minuet. And I hope that you'll hear a little bit of that touch of 18th century elegance and maybe a little bit of humor. The next piece is based on Fur-Elise. Fur-Elise is probably one of Beethoven's most famous and favorite pieces. It's one that most piano students have tried at one time or another, and it starts like this. Now, this melody is one of Beethoven's tricky melodies to sing. You have to go do 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 do, and that's really difficult unless you're Bobby McFerrin or someone. And that's because the left-hand melody, I should call it the left-hand accompaniment, really feeds right into the melody. So if we strip all that out and we actually strip out the little ornament, here's our melody. Now, this, you can hear how it will feed really well into our carol, We Three Kings of Orient Are. It's just a little 5-finger A minor pattern. And the notes are in different order, but they're out of the same cloth, if you will. So We Three Kings goes like this. We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. And then we get to the, oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light, which feeds right into a C major transition of Beethoven's. And there are several other sections from Beethoven's Fur-Elise that piano students don't always get to in their study, like this A minor dramatic section you'll hear. So if you find yourself, when you're listening to this arrangement, a little confused, like, am I hearing Fur-Elise or am I hearing We Three Kings? If you're a little confused, then I've done my job. next arrangement is based on Good King Wenceslas. This is a simple 13th century tune that's a Czech tune, and it goes like this. Is based on Good King Wenceslas himself. He was the king of Bohemia, and Bohemia is what we used to call Czechoslovakia, then the Czech Republic, and now Czechia. Now this king is celebrating the feast of Saint Stephen, which is the day after Christmas, and he's being benevolent. The lyrics are all about the Christmas spirit of giving. So he's giving alms to the poor, he's giving clothing, and particularly he's giving fuel to them in the cold, harsh winter. The Beethoven piece that I have paired this with or merged is the first movement of Beethoven's Sonata in G major, Opus 49, number 2. And that starts like this. Sorry, I get these confused sometimes when I'm going back and forth. All right, now that again is a difficult Beethoven piece to sing. We don't usually sing piano sonatas, but one of the reasons it's difficult is because there's so much figuration, so many arpeggios and scales going on that it's very hard to sing, like this. And this is a good Beethoven ending. So I've combined these two, and what you will hear is Christmas joy, but maybe kind of amped up with a little Beethoven mania. Good King Wenceslas. That's a lot of fun to play. I'm having a little buzz in my piano rack, so I'm going to just take this rack out, which is easy to do, and maybe I can give it to my trusty, wonderful husband who's helping me. Thank you. I'm hearing a buzz. The next piece, the next arrangement, is based on Away in a Manger. Now, when I was little, I learned two different versions of Away in a Manger. The first version, which is the most common, is often referred to as a cradle song, and it goes like this. And the second version, at least when I was growing up in Wisconsin, we referred to as the German version or the Lutheran version. And it goes like this. Now that second version is quite a bit more melodically complicated than the first, but what they have in common is that they have two big beats and this rocking motion. So back and forth, and underlying that is the subdivision 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this rhythm is actually musical symbolism that goes all the way back to the Baroque era, and it symbolizes the rocking of the baby, or in this case, the baby Jesus. And the type of piece that came out of this that was very popular at Christmas time was the Pastoral. Now, I've made an arrangement that's an ABA form. So the first Away in a Manger will be the first A, and the second version will be the second A. But in the middle is all Beethoven, and all I've done is to drop in about a page and a half of a movement, the last movement of Beethoven's Opus 14, number 2, Piano Sonata. Now, he calls this Scherzo. A scherzo is a fast, lively, playful, sometimes humorous piece, and it sounds like this. Now you can hear that that doesn't really mesh with our cradle song. So all I did was slow it down, and all of a sudden we have this beautiful singable, peaceful melody by Beethoven. Now the left hand which I will use in my arrangement has kind of a cyclical feel, almost like a spinning wheel. It's very hypnotic, and it of course goes along with the idea of rocking the baby. Now, for these next three, I need some important equipment. These are my last three. They're very fun. And we need to still be in this holiday spirit. So Jingle Bells is probably the most famous American carol. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. And we all know the chorus, but we don't always remember the verses. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Well, what I've done is refer to the Beethoven Bagatelles to make this arrangement. Now, Beethoven published 3 sets of bagatelles. A bagatelle is an easy task, a trifling, something that doesn't matter really very much. But Beethoven, in his Opus 33, number 2, makes a wonderful piece that he further entitles Scherzo. Now you know what a scherzo is. It's a light, playful, humorous piece. This is important because Beethoven loved musical humor. Now his bagatelle starts like this. Now, what's funny about this, and this is 18th century humor, remember, what's funny about it is that it's a piece in 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but rather than accent the first beat of each measure, he's accenting the 3rd beat, and he's going down low to the keyboard and then coming back up very quickly, so that these 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 are kind of awkward, and they kind of might remind you of a splat that a brass instrument might make. It's kind of rude. Now, actually, Beethoven went beyond musical humor. He loved musical jokes. So I thought, keeping with our humor plan, that it would be great to change the meter of Jingle Bells. Remember, Jingle Bells is in 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. But we've got to turn it into 3, change the meter to triple time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'll use some of the Beethoven to help with the accompaniment. There's another section that I'll pull in this arrangement from Beethoven, and he goes to the minor key. And it's not really a super serious moment in the minor, kind of fake serious, and he uses these rumbly triplets, kind of growly down there in the lower register of the piano that he liked. And then you'll hear some more Jingle Bells. But again, if we're going to make this a real joke, what I thought would also be fun, we've changed the meter from 2 to 3, but let's change the mode or the key. So Jingle Bells is in major. But what if we put it in minor? And I get a kick out of it at any rate. And what will also work for that is turning the dashing through the snow part into the minor instead of... Let's put it in minor. So that's how I put the arrangement together, and I hope that you enjoy my musical joke, what I call my Jingle Bell Bagatelle. Beethoven would have liked that. The next piece is God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, and it sounds like this. A very famous Christmas carol that goes back to 16th century England, and it is woven throughout English history. Charles Dickens even mentions it in his wonderful story, A Christmas Carol. A caroler is coming up to Scrooge's keyhole in his door and singing that song, and Scrooge hates it. But we're familiar with it. I will say that when I was little, it gave me a lot of confusion. I liked the song, but I didn't understand why in the minor key, these happy guys were singing in this minor key. And my dad told me that I needed to pay attention to where the comma was. It's not God rest ye, merry gentlemen. It's not like, relax, happy dudes. It's God rest ye merry gentlemen. So be at peace, be at calm, because of the tidings of comfort and joy about the song. So I've used to pair with this a middle period Beethoven sonata that's very famous, that's often called The Tempest. And I've actually borrowed from two movements. In the first movement of the Tempest sonata, Beethoven does something that he did more and more as time went on. He starts with a very slow introduction, kind of ponderous, but then it precedes something turbulent, or in this case, tempestuous, like this. And in our case, I'll use Beethoven's favorite triplets and play. But about this slow intro, Beethoven does it to kind of presage or prefigure, foreshadow something that's coming up later in the piece. Sometimes he does it like that. He didn't invent this concept, but he used it in a new way. And sometimes when a piece is going full tilt, he'll interrupt with a slow, maybe even a measure or a passage, almost as though he wants the listener to remember back to the past when they heard it before, or to give the listener a moment's reflection. So the other movement that I borrowed is the third movement, a wonderful rhythmic perpetual motion figure. It sounds like this. And just as though in Jingle Bells we changed the meter from 2 to 3, we have to change the meter of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen to 1, 2, 1, 2, to 3 to make it fit with that figure. But we won't use a waltz bass, we'll use this figure perpetual motion of Beethoven's. Final note that you'll hear is at the end, it's kind of to satisfy my child self. You'll hear a statement of our tune, our carol, in major to make it happy. Before a dramatic Beethoven ending. one final carol for you tonight, and that is based on one of my very favorites, Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. So this Deck the Halls tune also goes very far back in English culture. The tune is a Welsh tune from the 16th century, but it goes really far back to the principle of refrain, and that takes us back to English madrigals of the Renaissance. So you'd have somebody singing a verse or text, deck the halls with boughs of holly, and then you'd have kind of an answer, fa la 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 la, or tra la 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 la. It's kind of like a little thing that's just tossed off, but that's a refrain, and a refrain is something that just keeps coming back. And what that leads us to in Beethoven is the fourth movement of his Pastoral Sonata. Pastoral, you've heard about that already, although this is a secular piece. But it's based on a rondo. And a rondo is kind of just an expanded piece that uses refrain a lot. So we'll hear a refrain and then an A section, refrain B, refrain C. The refrain I'm using is this. And you'll hear that coming back over and over. And I will say that Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony doesn't refer to, because it's not a religious piece, it doesn't refer to the rocking of the baby as we talked about earlier, but it's about bucolic country life. So it's got this nice rocking rhythm, probably a little bit too fast for a baby. But if we add Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly, we have to alter the rhythm a little bit. So you'll hear... So you'll hear several statements of Deck the Halls, and then in the middle you will hear all Beethoven from the Pastoral Rondo, and he's kind of doing what he loves to do, going all over the keyboard, kind of having a good time, getting raucous. At the end of the piece you'll hear a giant, let's say, muscular Beethoven-sized version of Deck the Halls, and if you're careful listening, you might hear some timpani in the left hand. Timpani drums. So that's the program for tonight. I want to say again, thank you to WDAV. You know, if you're not in North Carolina, you can stream WDAV, WDAV.org. Wonderful, beautiful programming. They're wonderful folks. They're fundraising. If you can help them out, great. Remember that they have some of these for donor gifts, and my website is pamelahowland.com, and they're there all the time. I just want to also say, during this very dark time, please try to find some joy, some light, hope, and love, and happy holidays to all, and happy birthday, Beethoven. Thank you so much.